Hey, it's a year later and it's time for another Avengers #1. This time we're relaunching, still with Mark Waid, Mike Del Mundo now taking over the art in an experimental bold choice as part of Marvel Now. Where Now is all broken up. I wasn't sure if it was like Breaking Now or Now that's been smashed. I'm not sure exactly the marketing branding behind all this, but let's get into it. Hey everybody, this is Perch. Following the cataclysmic outcome of the first Avengers relaunch, this is relaunch number 7? I'm not sure. Anyway, where all the youthful heroes, in particular Miles Morales, Miss Marvel, Nova, said, you're not doing enough. We smash everything up, but then we don't stick around to actually rebuild the stuff that's blown up. We have people whose lives are destroyed by our battles with these super criminals, and then we just take off to go hang out at the Avengers Mansion or whatever is going on at the time. And Falcon and Thor are like, come on, that's not our job. That's somebody else can clean that stuff up. We gotta, YOLO, we gotta go fight the super adaptoid. And the kids are like, no, we need to clean our rooms because we've been listening to that Jordan Peterson guy and he is on track about cleaning our rooms. So we need to clean up the street. And the older Avengers are like, we're out of here. And so that's how this split formed. The young Avengers would go off to be the champions, where they really wouldn't clean up many rooms. They went out and hung out in the forest for a while, and then they tried some experimental kissing, and then they would go to other countries and things. But for a series that was really branded on help the people, they actually didn't do too much showing them helping the people. They kind of went and fought villains again. But whatever. This is the Avengers, though, not the champions. And thank God I'm going to call the champions outside the bubble of this Avengers relaunch bonanza, or I'll be at this for another year. Anyway, so the book opens right up with our new status quo, which is going to feature the Vision, Thor, and Falcon Cap from the last volume. But we'll bring in Spider-Man. He is in his super techie. Peter Parker is a super rich mogul. The Wasp, this is the Nadia Van Dyne, who is kind of the successor. She's written a little bit older here. She would make this very strange transition into almost getting younger as a character. But when this was started, it was a little bit less clear how old she actually was. It seemed to wander a little bit. And of course, we have Hercules, who's rejoining the team. So we come into a really good powerhouse. Hercules has got his machine gun, and he is blowing the hell out of stuff. Thor is doing her stuff. This is still the Jane Foster Thor, and they're fighting some kind of big ice dragon in Central Park. So lots of good kind of. This is really designed to showcase Mike Del Mundo's kind of style and use of color and light and things shattering back and forth. And all that. And so they defeat this monster, and they kind of come back, and Falcon, who's desperate for some members, officially offers Hercules a spot in the Avengers, and they're starting to rebuild the team. They go visit Parker Industries, which gives us a really strange Peter Parker. This is a very oddly drawn, lots of very, very odd Peter Parker things. But he is basically funding the Avengers. He's going to give back. And so now that Peter Parker is a multi-billionaire, he's doing, gonna help fund things. And so he's making a mess of things. They don't know he's Spider-Man. And, they're saying, you're friends with that awful Spider-Man. And it's unclear why things are going. He's created a new Avengers mansion with them with a 360-degree view of New York through adamantium lace glass. Not sure how that works exactly, but imagine there would be a cool all-new all Marvel where you actually make Wolverine's claws transparent, and then imagine the blood work on that. But anyway, so they see a huge explosion out in the city, and they all take off. And Peter's like, I need to get out of here. I've got an important board meeting, make some copies. This is what rich tech moguls do. They ask for things to be bound and collated and copied. And off goes Spider-Man. And what's going on? It's Kang. This time we're not messing around with Warbringer or these kind of other obscure villains. This is leading up to Kang's feud in the previous volume of the Avengers. And Kang is strange. He's being kind of torn apart, and there's something something weird going on with Kang. None of them are in peak condition. The Avengers hit the scene and they immediately start blowing everything up, and the Kangs are being dysfunctional and schizophrenic, and nobody's quite sure what's going on. But Kang is being, is basically wants a kid. He's like, where's my kid? And the Vision knows, but there's a desperate kind of search for this. The Vision has messed up time, and so as a result, they wreck the Vision by smashing him, into the ground, and his little cyborg parts are all over the place. And they're trying to find this location of the child, but he doesn't have it because he's offloaded it. And something major is bad. So they pick up the pieces of Vision, like a classic good mission, and they take him back to the old Avengers lab, and Nadia kind of zooms down to kind of go through the Vision's body, and we learn the Vision's secret. So the Vision basically, in the previous version, wanted to stop being manipulated by Kang. It made a bold decision, and the Vision declared war on Kang. And what he did was he something kind of dodgy. He time traveled and kidnapped Kang as an infant so that he could never rise to villainy. We've seen this before. This idea. If you could only just travel back in time and put Hitler into like a nice school, then he wouldn't have been who he was. So the Avengers are pissed about this. They're saying, you abducted a child. I always like these moral outrages when, this guy, Kang, a couple pages earlier had turned a building to dust. And even though the Avengers caught some of the humans that were falling out of that, you got to expect that there was, 1,000 people died in just a couple pages ago. But they're like, you abducted a child. How dare you do this? Because that's wrong. And so everybody's pissed at Vision. And so he's, they're still trying to figure out where to go. And so Kang is going to try and travel back in time to find the kid, because the kid is Kang, and Kang's world is kind of, imploding a little bit. And they're struggling. So Kang, they do think they've got a good fix on the lead. So they head off to pool their energies of Scarlet Centurion and Kang, all kind of different time versions of Kang. And they're off to do evil. So meanwhile, Spider-Man's trying to ingratiate himself to the Avengers for some strange reason, and so everybody starts to feel kind of weird. And what we see is that they're going back in time, Kang and Scarlet Centurion, to all the different kind of Avengers moments between the Vision and Sam, Captain America, and Jane Foster and everything else. And it looks like they're going to revenge. They're basically going to eliminate the kid Avengers when they were babies and cause everything to disrupt. So this leads to a nice trippy, Mike Del Mundo, it's like the goal here is you get on some drugs before you read the comic. It's designed to be kind of trippy. We see body parts floating away and everything else. Del Mundo would go off to do Thor later, which was kind of a better fit. But this would be Mark Waid's kind of second run at the Avengers. This was a largely kind of forgettable run, in all fairness. There was some big things that happened. It was definitely a Kang-centric storyline. It did have Victor Von Doom as the infamous Iron Man show up, because as long as we're getting all the different people in their different costumes, we might as well go for that one as well. There's a Avengers X storyline. It's probably the highlight of all this. This was a forgotten member of the team that was told in kind of retcon back in the past. And then, of course, we did have our obligatory Champions Avengers battle that would hit later. But in general, this comic run was short-lived. This run would go for a little while and ultimately would segue off to Jason Aaron's run on the Avengers, and it never really gelled. And part of it was they were trying to do a bunch of things. You had the Doctor Doom as Iron Man bit that just people didn't really know what to do with. The series ended on a bit of a whimper in a lot of cases. It just didn't. It just never gelled, and it was always unclear like who's on the team. And then Nadia started hanging out with the champions, and it's like, oh wait, is she on that team now? And it's what makes a good Avengers book is one where they have some cohesion to this is the team, and you get to see teamwork, and you get to see kind of these characters bouncing off of each other, and that's kind of what always makes a comic kind of tick. And so by not doing that, then you had other things. You had, I think Secret Invasion or Secret Empire was kind of crammed in here, and so so there's a lot of aspects of this that just always felt a little odd. Anyway, not one of not one of the beloved versions of the Avengers. A lot of people kind of skipped it, and it did almost everything it could to not look like the Avengers in the movies, which also didn't help anything. So that was where we sat. Anyway, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, sort of, sure. Kang shenanigans, because you got to do Kang shenanigans if you're going to write the Avengers, I suppose. And that's what we got here. Did you like this issue? Do you remember it? The funniest part about this run is a lot of people do remember the Mark Waid bringing Miss Marvel onto the team and all the rest, and then their minds just get kind of blurry while a bunch of kind of random stuff is going on, and then they remember Jason Aaron's start. And that seems to be where a lot of people go. It's strange. This run was very, very forgettable for people, and I'm not entirely sure why. There's some very nice art, but it never felt like this art actually fit the Avengers. It was a little bit more, it was cool, but it was very trippy. And it just didn't really fit what was going on at the time. Anyway, did you like it? Leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on it. Would love to hear what you think of this issue. Like, subscribe. I should really put this at the beginning because people have abandoned by now, but please do introduce to a friend. Would appreciate that. Follow me on Twitter at Comic Perch. I'm on Facebook too, and thanks for listening.